I'm your host Pensyfan19 and welcome to the May 2021 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which covers most of the major railroading headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. First off, the Aberdeen, Carolina and Western Railroad has placed their newly acquired F7 into excursion service. Formerly Norfolk Southern 271, this newly acquired F unit has been repainted into a stunning maroon and gold livery, somewhat similar to the San Luis and Rio Grande livery, with this specific paint scheme being selected from a design contest with 45 entries. Even though I would have been okay with any of the other designs listed in the contest, I must say that what it has now is definitely the best of the group, since it brings a certain level of class and style to the short line. And in my opinion, it has a much better livery than the other ex-NSF unit on the Reading and Northern, but that's just my thoughts between the two. Regardless, this locomotive definitely stands out from the rest of the green and white fleet on this North Carolinian short line and matches perfectly with the maroon excursion coaches for the Carolina Special. Up next, Kentucky Steam has acquired another ex-Louisville National Diesel, this time being number 7067, a GEC 30-7 which was formerly used by Marshall University. Meanwhile, the Hoosier Valley Railroad Museum has acquired both ex-Saratoga North Creek BL2s, one of which starred in the famous Excited Train Guy video. Indiana Harbor Belt has made recently acquired number 3800 into a veterans unit. Metrolink 903 has been delivered as the last EMD F125 to be received by the commuter railroad, while Alstom has delivered its 100th Prima for Indian Railways. The Coradia Polyvalent for France-Germany cross-border service has started testing. East Coast Trains Class 803s have begun testing, while TFW Class 197s have arrived in Britain. Stadler EMUs have also begun testing for FCG, while Renfe is looking for alternative traction for their non-electrified routes. BLS Micas have entered service, while Ricci Railways is to order new Stadler EMUs. GKB Eurorunners have entered passenger service. Mathis released concept art of their driving trailer. CRRC and the Shenzhen Metro have placed self-driving trains into service. And Alstom has released photos of the TGV-M. Not surprisingly, this power car looks exactly like the Avelia Liberty since both are made by Alstom, but it doesn't make either train set unique other than their difference in height. I know that it makes sense to use the same model for different nations, but I don't feel it adds to the uniqueness of each rail car produced by Alstom. Even the Siemens ACS64 looks different than the Euro Sprinter and Vectron counterparts in order to have it stand out from the roster of electric units, other than meeting US safety standards of course. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. Friends of the 261 have repainted Milwaukee Road E9 number 32A into a historically inaccurate but epic Milwaukee Road livery combination. The Great Smoky Mountain Railroad has repainted 1009 into a veterans livery which looks somewhat familiar to UP 1943. PKP Intercity has dedicated 160-023 to the 3rd Celestian Uprising. An LTG Cargo Eurorunner pulled an orchestra on 3 flatbeds playing Ode to Joy in celebration of Europe Day, or the formation of the EU. GBRF 66767 has been named after a London King's Cross signal box. A model of a Tyne and Wear Metro Class 777 has been built with Meccano. The Chorus Railway is constructing new build carriages and steam locomotives. A Blackbird has made a nest in Black 5 number 45305. Abandoned bikes at Southern Railway stations are being restored. Bespoke is offering pre-rusted car pieces. The US is to fund studies to improve metro services in Brazil. My comment on the first episode of Thunderbolt's New Hope Profiles was featured in the sequel episode of the series which directly inspired Remarkable Engines, while my footage of the LARR FRA inspection train was featured on a compilation by DJ Hammers. This year's FRA train in particular is a bit odd, in which 2 DE30ACs are leading DOTX 221, a car which is usually used for long distance routes, instead of 2 MP15ACs with DOTX T16. The Railway Children is to release a sequel in 2022. SpaceX is to use Dogecoin to fund their missions, while Elon Musk starred in an episode of Saturday Night Live as Wario and many other characters. A French company is to develop light autonomous cubes. CSX has acquired a chemical trucking firm known as Quality Carriers, while Union Pacific is looking into autonomous and battery-powered trains. And that same railroad revealed SC70M 1979 that paid tribute to their employee resource groups focusing on minorities, with number 1979 being chosen to represent the formation of the Black Employees Network. Even though this is great representation for the railroad's diversity, the Locomotive has received many mixed reviews from rail fans, as its livery is unlike that of any UP locomotive. For me, one of the most interesting features of this locomotive is that it's a SD70M, which is already about 20 years old, instead of a newer locomotive like an SD70 ACE, thus making this the first SD70M commemorative unit for UP since the 2002 Olympics. But on a sad note, Union Pacific's Lennox Tower has been demolished. RTA has uploaded a video of Red Line Car 339 being scrapped. Austria has declined a proposal to run a broad gauge route to Slovakia. And DC Metro has sidelined their 6000 series railcars indefinitely. Now here's a follow-up news section for articles covering stories from previous episodes. First off, Amtrak has gained approval to extend their Northeast Corridor service to Christiansburg, Virginia. However, this is along the former Virginia Railway trackage instead of former Norfolk and Western trackage, which leads to Bristol, another town which is interested in Amtrak service. If anything, why not have an entire restoration of the Mountaineer along the entire ex-Norfolk and Western Main Line? In the meantime, Amtrak is considering extending the Downeaster to Bangor, Maine, while they can also sue railroads who delay their trains. A business study has been launched to restore the Ontario Northland's Northlander. Ouigo has started service in Spain, while the British government has formed Great British Railways to take over their passenger services. Stadler is objecting DSB for purchasing Alstom multiple units, while the STB has rejected the purchase of Pan Am Railways by CSX due to incomplete paperwork. Vienna Metro X Series has been named Felix. A deal has been made to keep the Huron Central running. MTH has made a model of LIRR 105 as an unofficial bicentennial unit from 2018. Another GBRF Class 66 is a rail freight heritage unit. Norfolk and Western 611 has arrived on the Strasbourg Railroad after being delayed. The CRRC Hybrid Shunter has entered service on DB, along with the British Rail Class 769. The CAF Oeris has entered service in Norway. GBRF 69002 has been repainted into a British Rail heritage unit, while LNER Class 91s have re-entered service to fill in for the Hitachi HST shortage. And EMR 43102 has been donated to the National Railway Museum in York after pulling the last run of an Intercity 125 on the East Coast Main Line. Meanwhile, as yet another follow-up to the acquisition of Kansas City Southern, the smallest Class 1 has formally accepted Canadian National's offer to purchase it, thus making both my prediction and the March 2021 Pensyfan Periodical wrong. However, this decision is being met with much opposition and stringent rules since Canadian National would have a monopoly in the region, while CP Rail is still trying to seek control over KCS with the STB. With this purchase by CN, the new Canadian owner is planning on selling the KCS trackage between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, Louisiana, since it will be redundant with their existing ex-Illinois Central route, which could also help a proposed passenger rail company if it were to purchase the route. Lastly, with CP Rail losing this acquisition to its fierce rival, CP is saying that it will become a target for acquisition, meaning that the loss of this attempt could make other Class 1s purchase CP Rail. As much as this would be an ultimate no-you moment in the history of the world, I personally wouldn't want to see this happen since this would result in the loss of a centuries-old Canadian railroad and its beautiful heritage units and SD70 ACUs. Not to mention, an acquisition of CP with any other Class 1 would form a system so massive that it would be way too large to manage at once, which could result in drastic cuts in quality and service. Up next is the station upgrades portion for proposals, constructions, and openings at stations around the world. First off, congratulations to Berwick for winning a Railway Heritage Award based on its restoration, while the CTA is starting a refresh and renew program to refurbish most of their stations, as well as the completion of Hittergreen and Kipling, Ontario. We also have improvements for Malton, Candy, Hiermont and Hunter Street stations, Perth Amboy and Lyndhurst, New Jersey, Wickford, and Gosforth Depot. In other news, Amtrak, Brightline, and Texas Central Railway have met with Congress to ask for more funding. Pioneer Rail Corp has been renamed to Pioneer Lines and has received a somewhat Reading-inspired livery. The Pennsylvania Trolley Museum has started construction on their expansion. Union Pacific Big Boy 4012 has been restored at Steamtown, while 4014 is supposed to run in August. Quebec is looking into having their flag as an emoji. CP's Beira Baxia line in Portugal has reopened, while the Arica La Paz freight line in Chile has been restored. Norfolk Southern 4162 and 3619 have been spotted running long hood forward. Rio Grande 472 and 489 are being converted to run on oil. NJT is looking into battery-powered locomotives. Greyhound is to stop providing all service to Canada, which could help Via Rail with ridership, while they also released the final design of the Siemens chargers, along with EBS showing their final design for the Eurodual. PESA has presented their first hydrogen-powered locomotive, while Siemens could be developing a hydrogen-powered Vectron, while Siemens is also to produce a battery-powered Muros for Hermann Hesse-Bahn. It's great to see two of my favorite alternative forms of energy being used by my favorite form manufacturer. Anyways, CD Leaser Vectrons have been painted into a new livery, while Stern and Hafferl sold their only Vectron. German name railroad has purchased S-Bahn Stadler Regio shuttles from Saarland. Swedish name railroad is to release Stadler narrow gauge MUs in 2022, while Stadler has also completed their delivery of narrow gauge MUs to Italian name railroad. Marta is seeking public input for their Stadler railcar design. Both TTC and LA Metro are to purchase new LRVs, while Sound Transit Series 2 LRVs have entered service, and Metro North is to continue their Penn Station Access project. Hopefully this means Hellgate's Bridge is going to have 4 tracks again based on this concept art. After all that, it is now time for this month's Meme of the Month. This month's Meme of the Month is Trolling Les British Rail Fans. And now, the top story of the May 2021 Pensyfan Periodical is CSX releases F40PH Heritage Unit. As a surprise to almost everyone, CSX has released their first official Heritage Unit as a F40PH, formerly number 9998, has been repainted into a Baltimore and Ohio livery, but with the word CSX Transportation and the number 1. This F40PH is one of 4 on the Class 1's roster, which is used for OCS trains, and it's the first on the road to have a dedicated heritage livery instead of a sticker on its side. It is also reported that the other 4 F40s owned by CSX are to be repainted into a similar livery, likely for the upcoming anniversary of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, a fallen flag which makes up much of the present-day CSX system. Although the same classic B&O livery will be applied to the other 3 F40s, I feel it would be great to repaint the RF40s into other variations of the B&O livery, or better yet, have heritage units for other railroads which make up CSX, such as the Chesney System, Atlantic Coast Line, Seaboard Airline, Clinchfield, or Louisville and Nashville, thus adding to the railroad's official heritage fleet. Even if these requests are unlikely, it's still great to see that CSX finally joined the Heritage Club and used an F40 to be their first official heritage unit, especially with the first heritage livery representing one of the greatest fallen flags in American history. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of the Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it will be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all of these articles. Thank you again for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. Have a good day.